In a world completely obsessed with filters and facades, the most powerful kind of magnetism actually comes from what we're afraid to show. What if becoming truly unforgettable has nothing to do with perfection, and everything to do with having the courage to just be unapologetically real? Carl Jung, someone who spent a lifetime studying the human psyche, landed on something pretty profound. We don't actually crave what looks flawless. We're drawn to what feels authentic. The 7 paradoxical traits we're covering today aren't the ones society told us to chase. They're the ones we've been taught to hide, to suppress, to quiet down. But here's the twist. What you've been hiding might be exactly what makes you unforgettable. We spend so much energy polishing the outside, our appearance, our words, our whole image, while the real power just sits buried underneath. That quiet strength, that unshakable calm, the ability to be fully present without performing for anyone. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one people still feel after you've already left. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wasn't writing to impress anyone. He was writing to understand himself. Epictetus wasn't chasing attention. He was mastering his own inner world. And honestly, that's the real flex today too. Owning your truth so completely that you stop needing anyone's permission to feel powerful. So if you've ever felt like you're too much, or somehow not enough, like people overlook you no matter how much you give, this one's going to flip that narrative. 7 traits that make someone unforgettable, not through strategy or charm, but through being so rooted in who they actually are that nobody can replace their presence. If any of this speaks to something real in you, tap subscribe. That's how we keep this space growing, with depth, with truth, no filters. Let's get into it. Secret 1. Stop being a filtered version of yourself. Let's be honest, most of us are performing without even realizing it. Not on some stage, just every day quietly trying to keep up appearances. We edit our emotions the way we edit our photos. We post the smile while our hearts are exhausted. We tell people we're fine because it's just easier than actually explaining what's going on. It becomes second nature. And here's the problem. Perform long enough, and you start forgetting who you actually are underneath the act. You trade authenticity for approval, and eventually, the approval stops feeling like enough. Aristotle said knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. But how do you actually know yourself if you've spent years becoming whoever the world told you to be? This isn't just about social media. It's a mindset. It's the way we downplay our opinions in conversations, water down our excitement so we don't come off too much. It's avoiding taking up space because somewhere along the way, we learned that being fully ourselves felt risky, too loud, too inconvenient. But here's the thing. Every person who ever actually changed something in this world was exactly that. Loud, different, inconvenient. Jung wrote that the privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you truly are, not who your parents expected, not who your job prefers, not the version your friends find most comfortable. You, the raw, unfiltered, still evolving version. That's where your power actually lives, not in the polished image, but in the truth underneath it. Jung's whole psychological model was built around individuation, integrating every part of yourself, even the messy parts, into something whole. And honestly, wholeness is a lot more compelling than perfection ever was. Think about the people who've left the deepest mark on you. Were they the ones who had it all together? Or the ones who made it okay for you not to? The ones who were honest even when it wasn't pretty, who laughed without holding back and cried without apologizing. Those are the people who stay with us, not because they were flawless, because they were real. In a world completely obsessed with filters and facades, the most powerful kind of magnetism actually comes from what we're afraid to show. What if becoming truly unforgettable has nothing to do with perfection, and everything to do with having the courage to just be unapologetically real? Carl Jung, someone who spent a lifetime studying the human psyche, landed on something pretty profound. We don't actually crave what looks flawless. We're drawn to what feels authentic. The 7 paradoxical traits we're covering today aren't the ones society told us to chase. They're the ones we've been taught to hide, to suppress, to quiet down. But here's the twist. What you've been hiding might be exactly what makes you unforgettable. We spend so much energy polishing the outside, our appearance, our words, our whole image, while the real power just sits buried underneath. That quiet strength, that unshakable calm, the ability to be fully present without performing for anyone. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one people still feel after you've already left. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wasn't writing to impress anyone. He was writing to understand himself. Epictetus wasn't chasing attention. He was mastering his own inner world. And honestly, that's the real flex today too. Owning your truth so completely that you stop needing anyone's permission to feel powerful. So if you've ever felt like you're too much, or somehow not enough, like people overlook you no matter how much you give, this one's going to flip that narrative. 7 traits that make someone unforgettable, not through strategy or charm, but through being so rooted in who they actually are that nobody can replace their presence. If any of this speaks to something real in you, tap subscribe. That's how we keep this space growing, with depth, with truth, no filters. Let's get into it. Secret 1. Stop being a filtered version of yourself. Let's be honest, most of us are performing without even realizing it. Not on some stage, just every day quietly trying to keep up appearances. We edit our emotions the way we edit our photos. We post the smile while our hearts are exhausted. We tell people we're fine because it's just easier than actually explaining what's going on. It becomes second nature. And here's the problem. Perform long enough, and you start forgetting who you actually are underneath the act. You trade authenticity for approval, and eventually, the approval stops feeling like enough. Aristotle said knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. But how do you actually know yourself if you've spent years becoming whoever the world told you to be? This isn't just about social media. It's a mindset. It's the way we downplay our opinions in conversations, water down our excitement so we don't come off too much. It's avoiding taking up space because somewhere along the way, we learned that being fully ourselves felt risky, too loud, too inconvenient. But here's the thing. Every person who ever actually changed something in this world was exactly that. Loud, different, inconvenient. Jung wrote that the privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you truly are. Not who your parents expected, not who your job prefers, not the version your friends find most comfortable. You, the raw, unfiltered, still evolving version. That's where your power actually lives. Not in the polished image, but in the truth underneath it. Jung's whole psychological model was built around individuation, integrating every part of yourself, even the messy parts, into something whole. And honestly, wholeness is a lot more compelling than perfection ever was. Think about the people who've left the deepest mark on you. Were they the ones who had it all together? Or the ones who made it okay for you not to? The ones who were honest even when it wasn't pretty, who laughed without holding back and cried without apologizing. Those are the people who stay with us, not because they were flawless, because they were real. You're not becoming someone new. You're clearing out the glitches, unlocking features you didn't even know were there. You've always had the potential. Growth just brings it online. Jung talked about individuation, becoming whole, and part of that journey means shedding the parts of you built on fear, on people-pleasing, on avoiding discomfort. Not everything you picked up along the way was meant to stay. Some beliefs, some habits, they were survival tools that served their purpose, and now they're keeping you small. Recognizing that is the moment you start evolving consciously instead of reactively, not to prove something, but because you finally understand something deeper about yourself. Let's clear something up though. Choosing to grow doesn't mean you hate who you are right now. It just means you love yourself enough not to stay stuck. People who fear change usually assume growth means rejecting the present. Real growth actually respects the present so much, it refuses to let it become your ceiling. It says, "I've come this far. Now I'm ready to go further." That's not self-rejection. That's self-respect. Socrates believed the unexamined life wasn't worth living. Start examining your own, not with judgment, with curiosity. And you'll start noticing the patterns. Where you've grown, where you're stuck, where you compromised your values just to fit into rooms you never even wanted to be in. That awareness is powerful because you can't change what you're not willing to actually look at. Once you see it clearly, you get your power back. You realize you don't need permission to become the next version of yourself. You can just start. And listen, growth is messy. It's not all glow-ups and clean breakthroughs. Sometimes it's awkward, sometimes lonely. Sometimes it means saying goodbye to people who only ever liked the quieter, more agreeable version of you. Let them go. You're not here to keep everyone comfortable. You're here to keep your own soul awake. Aristotle said we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence isn't an act, it's a habit. Growth is exactly the same. Not a one-time leap, a daily decision. Choosing reflection over reaction, discipline over impulse, courage over comfort. You won't always get it right, and the goal was never perfection anyway. It's progress. Becoming someone who doesn't need to announce their evolution, because it's written into how you live, how you speak, how you carry yourself. You'll know you're evolving when your silence starts saying more than your explanations, when your peace gets louder than your anxiety. So if you're sitting there wondering whether it's time to change, here's your sign. Don't wait for rock bottom. Don't wait for permission. You're allowed to outgrow what used to feel like home. Growth isn't betrayal, it's truth. And rooted in your values instead of your fears, it becomes something no one can take from you. You don't grow to be loved. You grow because you already love yourself enough to move. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not the version that stayed the same for acceptance, but the one that kept becoming, no matter who didn't get it. Secret 3. Own your flaws like a boss. We've been sold this illusion that to be loved or remembered, we've got to be flawless, clean up every rough edge, erase every past mistake, wear a polished version of ourselves like armor. But here's the truth. Nobody tells you until you're already exhausted trying to keep up. Perfection doesn't connect people. Pain does. Struggle does. Humanity does. Nobody bonds over how flawless your life looks from the outside. They bond over the moments you got knocked down and still chose to get back up. Aristotle said self-knowledge is the beginning of wisdom. But real self-knowledge doesn't come from studying your strengths. It comes from actually owning your shadows. Being honest about the parts of you that didn't always have it together. Looking at your flaws and saying, "That's mine, and I'm not ashamed of it." Because shame only has power when you hide. The second you bring that stuff into the light, it loses its grip. And that's the moment you start taking your power back. Jung put it perfectly. What you resist persists. What you accept transforms. That part of you you've been tucking away, the one you assume makes you unlovable or too complicated, that might actually be your superpower. The very thing that sets you apart, makes someone else feel seen, maybe even leads someone out of their own darkness. Bury it out of fear, and you're robbing yourself and the world of what makes you uniquely you. We've all got scars, emotional, mental, sometimes physical, and society's been trying to sell us cover-up for years. Cover up your pain, your past, your sensitivity, your story. But those scars aren't proof of weakness, they're proof you healed, proof you felt deeply and kept going. That resilience, that's what makes you magnetic. People don't remember the person who never cracked. They remember the one who cracked and didn't collapse. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond that matters. So your mistakes, your failures, they're not who you are. Your response to them, though, that's your character. That's your story. And stories don't move people when everything goes right. They move people when the protagonist faces the fire and keeps going anyway. Socrates said, "Be as you wish to seem." Not perfect, not pristine, just real. Because people aren't looking for idols. They're looking for proof that being human doesn't make them broken. Show up flaws and all, and you become a kind of mirror, reflecting back what's possible once you stop trying to be untouchable and start being honest. So think about it. What's one thing you've been hiding because you thought it made you less? What if, instead of weakening you, that part of your story is exactly what makes you unforgettable? What if the thing you've been most ashamed of is precisely what someone else needs to hear to feel a little less alone? Plato believed truth wasn't just something external, it was something deeply internal. And what greater truth is there than, yes, I've struggled, yes, I've failed, and yes, I'm still here? That's not a confession. That's a declaration. You, standing in your full humanity, refusing to shrink for anyone's comfort. The world doesn't need another filtered personality. It needs realness. People who've been through it and didn't let it turn them cold. You don't need to apologize for the old version of you. They were doing the best they could with what they knew. Honor them by becoming stronger, not by pretending they didn't exist. Secret 4. Stop needing, start choosing. There's a quiet desperation so many of us carry without even noticing. This craving to be picked, seen, validated, it starts young. We're trained to raise our hands and wait to be called on, be agreeable, hope someone notices us. But here's what nobody tells you. The more you try to be chosen, the less you actually feel like you belong. Because being chosen puts all the power in someone else's hands. It says, I need you to see my worth before I can believe it myself. That's not love. That's permission-seeking dressed up as love. Here's the shift that flips everything. Stop waiting to be picked. Start deciding who earns access. That change isn't small, it's revolutionary. Instead of shrinking to fit someone else's world, you're standing tall in your own, asking, does this person actually deserve to be here? Not from arrogance, from alignment. Seneca said, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. And part of that is learning how not to beg for belonging. You weren't put here to audition for connection. You're not a product trying to earn a sale. You're a human being, full, flawed, growing. The people meant for you won't need convincing. They'll feel your energy and recognize it, not just as valuable, but as rare. Jung believed people project their unmet needs and shadows onto others. So if someone makes you feel like you have to constantly prove yourself worthy of love, maybe what they're really showing you is their own emptiness. That's their lesson, not something you need to internalize. Your lesson is simple. You are the chooser. Your life is your space. Your energy is your currency. And not everyone gets unlimited access just because they asked. Think about how different your relationships would look if instead of asking, do they like me, you asked, do they align with the version of me I'm becoming? Not the version that needs applause, the version that's grounded, evolving, choosing peace over chaos. Suddenly, the focus shifts from how do I become more likable to how do I live more authentically? And when you live from that place, people start respecting you, not for what you do for them, but for how you hold yourself. Plato said the measure of a person is what they do with power. Real, grounded power comes from having standards. Knowing love, attention, intimacy aren't things you chase, but things you welcome when they come from the right place. You get to decide who steps closer and who stays outside, not to play games, but to protect your peace. And peace is expensive. You fought for it. Don't hand it out cheap. There's a confidence that doesn't need to speak, a presence that doesn't need to perform. Stop chasing approval, and people feel it. Your self-respect, your boundaries. Something in them starts thinking, this person's different. I don't want to lose this. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not because you were the loudest or the most agreeable, but because you were whole, and you didn't hand out pieces of yourself to everyone who smiled at you. Socrates taught that the secret to change is putting all your energy toward building the new, not fighting the old. So build this version of you, the one who doesn't shrink, who doesn't ask to be chosen, who knows the right people will never make them question their worth. And the wrong ones, let them go. You don't need their permission to be powerful. Secret 5. Be intense without apology. There's this unspoken rule floating around. Don't feel too much. Don't speak too passionately. Don't care too deeply. Be chill. Be low maintenance. But honestly, none of that creates real connection. It creates distance. It creates performance, turns you into a muted version of yourself. And if you've ever been told you're too much, too emotional, too intense, I need you to hear this clearly. That's not a flaw. That's a gift. You feel deeply because you care. You express intensely because you're actually alive. You're not too much. You're just not easy to ignore. Jung believed our emotional world was never meant to be repressed, only integrated. He said there's no coming into consciousness without pain. That intensity you carry isn't there to break you. It's there to wake you up. It's the part of you that refuses to let life stay surface level. And yes, that might make some people uncomfortable, but honestly, that's not your job to fix. Their discomfort usually says more about their own emotional limits than your emotional intelligence. Let's talk about intelligence for a second. Emotional depth is not weakness, it's wisdom. Aristotle talked about the virtue of moderation, but he never meant suppressing your nature. He meant mastering it, directing it, feeling without drowning, loving without losing yourself. That's the difference between chaos and courage. And make no mistake, feeling deeply is courage. In a world where most people numb out or hide behind walls, you're showing up with your heart still open. That's not too much. That's rare. Why do people call you too much? Because intensity can't be controlled. It demands presence. It asks questions. It feels everything. And that kind of honesty scares the people hiding behind masks. Your passion makes them question their own apathy. Your tears make them face their own numbness. Your truth makes them uncomfortable with their own lies. So instead of meeting you where you are, they slap a label on it. Too intense, too emotional, too much. That's not truth. That's projection. Even the Stoics, the masters of self-discipline, never told us to deny emotion. They told us to understand it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength." That includes your emotional life. You don't need to tone yourself down. You just need to direct your fire, channel your passion. Let your emotions inform you, not run you. That's strength. That's emotional maturity. Socrates said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom." And part of knowing yourself is knowing how deeply you feel without making yourself wrong for it. Your sensitivity isn't weakness, it's awareness. It's your radar for truth. It's why you walk into a room and pick up on what nobody's saying out loud. Why your intuition runs strong. Why your connections go deeper. So no, you're not too much. You're just unwilling to live small. That doesn't make you difficult. That makes you authentic. And in a world that teaches people to shut down, choosing to stay open is a genuine act of strength. And it's unforgettable. Next time someone tells you you're too much, smile, look them in the eye, and say, "Then go find less." Because you're not shrinking to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. You're expanding into your full emotional range, and the people meant for you will never ask you to shrink. They'll rise to meet you. They'll match your depth. So don't dim it. Don't dilute it. Be all of you. Secret 6. Hold your standards without guilt. There's a quiet power that switches on in someone the moment they realize they deserve more. Not loud or boastful. Just this calm, steady presence that says, "I'm not settling anymore." And suddenly, the old patterns, one-sided relationships, draining conversations, tolerating things you shouldn't, they just stop. Not because the world changed, because you did. Once you know your worth, the begging ends, the chasing ends. You stop settling for scraps of love. You start holding out for what's real. Epictetus said, "Never value anything as beneficial to you if it forces you to break your promise, lose your self-respect, or hate someone." Translation: if you have to betray yourself to keep somebody around, they've already gotten too expensive. And the people who genuinely get that, who can walk away without burning the whole room down, they're dangerous in the best way. They can't be manipulated, can't be guilted, and won't stay where their peace keeps getting broken. Most people, honestly, aren't afraid of losing someone who needs them. They're afraid of losing someone who doesn't need them, but chose them anyway. That's a completely different kind of love. Once you know what actually lifts your energy versus what drains it, you stop making decisions out of loneliness. You start making them from clarity. That's rare. That's magnetic. That's what makes people want to earn a place in your life instead of just assuming one. Jung said the most terrifying thing is accepting yourself completely. But once you do, you stop asking others to do it for you. And once you stop performing for love, people start seeing the real version of you. The grounded one, the one who won't play small. That kind of presence is stabilizing. It's real. Boundaries aren't walls, by the way. They are filters. They don't push people away. They let the right ones in. They say, here's what I'll allow. Here's what I won't. Not out of coldness, out of clarity. Socrates taught that the secret to change is putting all your energy into building the new, not fighting the old. So if you're tired of feeling drained or taken for granted, maybe it's time to stop trying to fix people who don't know how to value you. Maybe it's time to build a new standard, one that doesn't bend just to keep the peace. Peace that costs your self-worth isn't really peace. It's self-abandonment wearing a disguise. And knowing what you deserve doesn't mean thinking you're better than anyone. It just means you finally decided you're not less. That decision changes how you speak, how you love, how you choose. You stop entertaining half-effort, half-presence, half-truth. You don't demand perfection. You require consistency. Aristotle said we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is a habit. So let self-respect become one too. Secret 7. Love from fullness, not from lack. There's a kind of love that feels like pressure, like weight. The kind that whispers, don't leave me. I need you to be okay. Not badly intentioned, exactly. Just heavy. It suffocates instead of supporting. When you love from a place of emptiness, love turns into a transaction, a quiet plea for emotional survival. You're not really offering love, you're offering need. And no matter how sincere it feels, that kind of love ends up exhausting both people involved. Jung said the most terrifying thing is accepting yourself completely. But that's also exactly where real love begins. Once you accept yourself fully, without conditions, your love stops being something you need to survive and becomes something you choose to give. You're no longer handing people your broken pieces and asking them to glue you back together. You're whole. And when you're whole, your love becomes light instead of overwhelming. We tend to think intensity equals love, that clinging means connection. But real connection was never built on the fear of losing someone. It's built on the freedom to keep choosing them over and over, without dependency getting in the way. That kind of love is rare, because it's not about possession, it's about presence. It says, I'm here because I want to be, not because I'll fall apart without you. The Stoics taught that our peace should never depend on things outside our control. Epictetus said only the educated are free in this case, emotionally educated, free from needing validation to feel worthy, free from giving love just to get it back. Do the inner work, fill your own cup, and you stop chasing love. You start radiating it. And radiance is unforgettable. Think about it. When someone walks into a room with calm confidence, with a kind of joy that doesn't depend on anyone else, you can feel it. It's magnetic, grounding, almost healing. People are afraid of losing that kind of energy, not because it feeds their ego, but because it awakens something real, something stable. You don't get that kind of presence from someone who's emotionally running on empty. You get it from someone who already knows they're full, and whatever they share is a gift, not a cry for rescue. Socrates said, the hottest love has the coldest end. That's the love born out of obsession, out of trying to fill a void through someone else, but love that starts from fullness, from a life you've built, peace you've earned, doesn't burn out. It evolves. It breathes. It doesn't collapse under its own weight, because it was never asking to be saved. It's offering a hand to walk beside someone. This is exactly why filling your own cup first actually matters, not later. Not once someone worthy comes along. Because an empty cup drains every connection trying to quench a thirst only you can actually satisfy. But a full cup means you give from your overflow. And the people who deserve to be close to you won't try to drink from your source. They'll be nourished by the abundance, and they'll honor it. Aristotle believed the highest form of love, philia, wasn't romantic, but a virtuous friendship, a bond between people who want the good for each other and for themselves. That kind of love doesn't cling, doesn't control. It strengthens both people to become more fully who they already are. And you only get there by being whole before you arrive. So ask yourself, am I giving love from a wound or from wisdom? Am I offering my heart from fear or from freedom? Love should never feel like a lifeline. It should feel like light. And here's the truth. You don't need someone to complete you. You need someone who complements the wholeness you already fought hard to build. That's the energy people are afraid to lose. That's the presence they'll never find twice. So take care of yourself first. Fill your soul. Know your worth. And when you do love someone, let it be a reflection of your fullness, not a plea to be filled. The right ones won't just stay. They'll protect that light, because they'll know they're standing in the presence of something rare. And you'll know it too. The most unforgettable energy you'll ever carry is the quiet, knowing that you're whole, without needing to prove it, perform it, or chase it. Choose yourself first, and the right people will never ask you to shrink. They'll rise with you.